Okay, so this exercise is a very good question because this is a little bit challenge exercise. It's an exercise that we can know solve just in one step. Okay, so let's take a look of the exercise. They say how much you should deposit at the end of each month in an AnaHer transaction that pays 7% compounded monthly to earn $120,000 per year from interest alone. For a retirement in 40 years. Okay, so the meaning of that is that the current age of that person is 25 because they're gonna retire at the 65 years. Okay, so they currently have 25, then the transaction is gonna last 40 years. Okay, so basically it's an annuity transaction, and we know that for the annuity transaction, the formula that we should use in order to compute the monthly deposits is going to be this one over here. Okay? That's the one. So, in our problem, and I put it here in our problem, so that monthly deposit is going to be given by this formula, which is exactly the same as this one. Okay? Perfect. So let me just put it here. So this is going to be the rate that is going to be 7% per year. That in decimal notation is 0.07, okay? Because it's compounded monthly per year, so the number of compound periods is equal to 12, right? And the transaction, I mean, the investment is gonna last for 40 years, so T is equal to 40. The challenge in this exercise is that we don't know what is the goal that we're going to have after 40 years. We don't know what is the amount that this transaction is going to produce in 40 years. So we need to compute that amount. But they say that that amount is such that amount that produced, if I put that amount in a compounded monthly transaction just per 1 year, is going to produce an interest of $120,000. That's what they say in here in the example. So to earn $120,000 per year from interest alone. What is the meaning of that? That if I got this future money and I put that money into a compounded monthly transaction just per 1 year, only per 1 year, that is going to produce an interest of $120,000. That is the important information that we need to use in order to solve the problem, because we need to compute first this A. Okay, how I compute this A? Well, what they say is, with this value that I'm going to call P chapeau in here, I'm going to produce in a transaction compounded monthly only for 1 year, I'm going to produce some interest. Okay? So how can I compute the interest? Well, if I put this money, if a compounded monthly transaction only for 1 year, if I put this principal, that is going to produce at the end of 1 year all this amount. This is coming from the theory, right? From here. Is this one. Is a compounded monthly transaction, okay, in which n is equal to 12, and now the time is only 1 year. If I put this amount, this money that I call here principal chapeau, okay, that is going to produce all this amount. Now, if I want to compute the interest only, so the interest is going to be all this amount that is produced for that transaction minus the principal that I put at the very beginning of that year. Okay, so the interest is going to be this principal chapeau by all this factor that is in here. So we know the interest because the interest is going to be $120,000. We know the rate should be 7%, and we know the number of compounded periods, that is 12. So from here, from this equation, what I'm going to do is to solve for this principal chapeau. And that principal chapeau is the number that I'm looking for here, is what this transaction is going to produce in 40 years. That's the point. So I compute that. So principal chapeau is equal to the interest divided by all this factor. The interest is $120,000, and this factor is this one that you see, that you have here. When you make this operation, so you make this division, then you add to 1, then you raise the result to 12, and subtract 1, okay, you get this amount in here. If you divide 120,000 by this amount, that is going to be 1,659,978 with 8 cents dollars. This value here is what you're going to get after 40 years in your IRA transaction with all these conditions. So this is the number that I should use in here, and now I can compute my monthly payments. Be careful, this monthly payment doesn't have to do anything with this principal chapeau, okay? Don't get confused. And that's what I did over here. So the principal chapeau, which is equal to A, in the IRA transaction, okay, now I use this formula to compute the monthly payment, okay, in my IRA transaction. Okay, so it's gonna be, let me just to make it this a little bit smaller. Yeah, a little bit smaller here. Okay. So now P is equal to A, which is this amount, multiplied by this factor, which is the rate divided by the number of compounded periods, which is 0.07, that corresponds to the 7%, and because it's monthly, we have 12 compounded periods. okay? All this amount divided by all what we have here between brackets. All of this is what I have here, is 1 plus 0.07, which is this one, divided by 12, okay, and everything rise to 12 times 40 years, okay, because the IRA transaction is gonna last 40 years, minus 1, okay? So we need to make all this computation. So what I did here is I multiplied this by this factor to get 9,683 with basically 21 cents dollars. That's what I have over here. And then this is equal to, well, all this factor that is between parentheses is equal to this number, 1.0058, so. Okay, then I need to raise all this number, which is this one, to this power. This power is 480. When you make 12 times 40, you have 480. And then you subtract 1. When you make all this computation, all of this is this value here, 15.31, 14, 11, 49. Now, to get the final result, I divided this one by this one, and I get 632.417. If I round to the decimal, to the first unit, that is going to be $633. Okay, so which is the answer that you have over here. Okay, so well, this is this exercise. So you're going to receive from my side this video and these 2 pages in PDF. So you have the backup. Okay, if you have any question about this, just let me know.